Greetings, my fellow servants of the Von Valancius dynasty. Welcome back to Rogue Trader. It is the Ash Heritor, and today we are going to continue on with our Rogue Trader playthrough. This is episode 70-something. I don't know anymore. It's a lot. And we are in the middle of, at the beginning, I should say, of Act 4, but we are going through some DLC stuff. In the previous episode, we have uncovered a bit of an omen granted to us by the Bloodspun Web. They did this in a very sideways way by flooding my bath with water. Or, sorry, flooding my bath with blood. Flooding my bath with water would be a rather normal thing that you would probably want in your bath. Blood, on the other hand, is not. Unless you're into that. In which case, I have questions. No, I don't have questions. Never mind. So, yeah, this blood was mutated blood. Or it contained mutated blood, which led us on a little bit of a goose chase, or a gene stealer chase, probably. I'm assuming this is gene stealer related. And we uncovered that, yeah, there were some omens sent to the Bloodspun Web from the Emperor, allegedly. And that they attempted to warn us of some sort of growing corruption inside our very own ship, which does admittedly sound like gene stealer cultists. Yeah. So, what are we going to do now? I think we're going to continue on to Dargonus. So we're going to see how much of this story, the DLC story, is going to unfold just while we do things here. So we're going to fly to Dargonus and see if anything new pops up along the way. And then once we get to Dargonus, before we actually do anything on Dargonus, well, we're going to have an interrupt here. That's what's going to happen. What I wanted to say is we were going to head to the Astropathic Chapel, because Zachary Weiss, the leader of the Astropathic Choir, can apparently conduct a ritual that might be able to shed insight onto where this cult is operating and who is involved in it, or this insidious corruption, if we're going to assume it's a gene stealer cult. The Voxmaster's puzzled voice distracts you from your duties.
My apologies, Lord Captain, but I have just been delivered an urgent report. Cargo Bay 73G has received some unusual cargo, if one can call it that. The crew considered disposing of it, but did not dare do so without your direct order. I suppose cargo is not quite the correct term. It is a crowd of people in worn military uniforms of the Imperium. They insist that you are their commander who saved them from Komora. If their account is to be believed, some masked Xenos who spoke in riddles somehow managed to transport them on board.
Nocturne of Oblivion. He came through.
What are your orders, your ladyship?
Was there a Xenos in flashy clothes speaking in rhymes by chance? Victus falls quiet for a moment, either processing what she just heard or making inquiries through other Vox channels. Eventually, the Vox comes to life again.
No, your ladyship, and I doubt that such a conspicuous character could have slipped by unnoticed. I will inform you if the crew reports seeing anyone like that.
Out the airlock with a lot of them? No. Provide them with cabins and put them to work. They are part of the crew from now on.
I will see to it, your ladyship. I dare not disturb you any longer.
Okay. Nocturne of Oblivion came through. Interesting. What does it mean, though? Will there be repercussions? There might be. But, I do kind of want to go to Dargonus immediately. I know we said we were going to do the Astropathic thing. But Abelard... I don't know if Abelard's problem is time sensitive, so we're going to fly there, and I think we are actually going to do that first. And we got to help out our boy Abelard. His family has been accused of treason. So we've completed Holy Prophet, gotten some advanced frag grenades, and then we can continue making some stuff up here, so we can... Pleasing the tired, the Adeptus Administratum's vanity may be indulged through the construction of a floating space palace filled with helpful serfs and exquisite pleasures. Mollified by the bribe, the scribes will be especially attentive to the rogue trader's wishes. Okay, maybe. What about call to arms? It's time for the Dargonus military to forget their feuds and take up arms in defense of their native world. That seems like it's probably a good idea. It's not going to block anything either. This will, though. this will... No, it won't. It won't block anything either. Huh. The great freedom accorded by the Imperial Navy will allow the mustering of an impressive independent squadron, not classified as pirates. Okay. All the inhabitants of the Expanse place their trust in the rogue trader during their hour of need. The flagship restores 33% to the cooldown of ultimate abilities at the end of space combat. Red warp routes always become orange. That is awesome. It doesn't block anything either, and we just get 6,000 rep and that. Hell yeah. What do these require? This... Okay, so Librarium we can't do because we don't have Bastion. Because we needed missionaries. Which I'm not... Oh, just somewhere in the Protectorate. Interesting. Oh, there's a little bit of interactivity between the planets. That's cool. This is pretty good. +2 plating to all sectors. That would be really nice. We would need 7 complacency. So we would have to increase our complacency, which we could do with pleasing the tired. However, there's a limit to the amount... Oh, no, we got tons of room. I don't know if more are going to unlock in, like, a later chapter, but I guess we'll see. So, whispers behind your back. Let's check this first. The malcontent has begun spreading insulting rumors concerning the rogue trader among the aristocracy. Punish 2 random noble families. Let's not do that. Deprive the entire colony's aristocracy of their privileges, and proudly ignore the rumors and their spread. That would cause the reduction of... We're going to ignore the rumors. That's one way to deal with it. Depriving the aristocracy of their privileges is going to cause the aristocrats even more... And it's A, going to validate the rumors and give them more fuel. This is just stupid. It might turn those 2 families against it. It might spread fear. I don't know. I feel like it's not a good idea. We're going to proudly ignore the rumors and their spread. The nobles, awed by your stoicism, quickly stop paying attention to the slander. Yeah, exactly. Alright, we do have 1 less security, so our security's at 9, but it's looking pretty good, and it's going to increase once we complete the militia navy, right? That gives security? Indeed. So we'll be okay. Alright, so then I guess we just go down to the planet. So we absolutely need Abelard. We're not bringing Marazai. We'll bring Ulfar. Who else can we bring? Leave Cassia on the ship. I think it would be in our best interest to bring some sort of... somebody with some tech skills. I don't know if this is going to be a combat encounter. Heinrich's, you know, if there's the possibility of any sort of sedition going on, I want him along. Ooh, actually bringing Idira along wouldn't be bad either. Kibella, you know what, you're going to stay behind for now. I'm going to bring Idira. She might sense something. Then again, Cassia can also sense things. But Idira can do it too, so... Either one of them, I think, will serve in this place. So I'm not sure what exactly we need to do here. I'll check my journal once we get down to the plan. Hopefully we actually need to be here and I'm not just... I didn't go to Dargonus thinking that, obviously the Werserians are there, but actually the quest is taking place somewhere else. Alright. No, I think this is... Ladies and gentlemen, please stand aside. No need to crowd around. Governor Drivestem will take care of everything. This isn't a good sign. This is ridiculous. Such a thing happening right in the Rogue Trader's palace. I agree. This is ridiculous. Under Drivestem's watch, too. Who are these? I have a bad feeling about this. You are confronted by the sight of dead bodies at the entrance to the palace. The corpses have been hauled into a pile. Some are dressed in the uniforms of palace wardens, while others are arrayed in the clothing of the typical Dargonus nobility. Upon seeing you, the young enforcer stands at attention and swallows noisily. His voice trembles as he says, "Your ladyship, we are honored by your presence." We have assailants? Examine the assailants? Observation. There are rare, high-functioning servitor specimens present among the expired units. Such specimens are traditionally bestowed upon the noble houses that are most loyal to the sacred fellowship of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Examine the assailants. Oh, so there must have been like a fight between two groups, rather than... The augmetics of the deceased do differ from the implants ordinary people wear. Their intricate construction makes it clear that the deceased were not ordinary humans. Oh. Abelard frowns. As far as I know, House Gaprak has received such servitors from the Crimson Priesthood as gifts in the past, although this is my first time seeing one myself. Interesting. What is this mess? You see, your ladyship, those people wanted to attack... The warden clears his throat. Second Lieutenant of the Palace Guard, Elam White, reporting, shortly before you arrived, we averted an assassination attempt on the rogue trader. The palace soldiers detected intruders and engaged them in combat. Where's the court chancellor, Clementia Werserian? I think she is with the rest of House Werserian, detained in the throne room, that is. Governor Drivestem has gathered all the Dargonus nobility there to pronounce a guilty verdict against House Werserian. This is going too far, Drivestem. I can't wait to put a bullet in him. Why is the governor not here to greet the rogue traitor? I do not know, your ladyship. Perhaps he is... The guard throws a fearful gaze at Abelard. You could probably find him in the throne room, where the governor intends to put House Werserian on trial. I must take my leave. Okay. Interesting.
The whispers told me how.
There was a crumpled up letter inside the pocket of the assailant's blood-soaked jacket. The bodies bear multiple wounds. It is evident that they died recently.
Always keep your eye
So did
on
we
prize.
get a letter? Type, not oldest to newest. Newest to oldest? Yeah. The letter is soaked with blood. Only a portion of the text is readable through the crimson blotches. Full and discreet. Keep away from the lords and ladies. You must look like a noble to the servants and wardens. Do not engage in conversation with anyone. Your task is to avoid exposing yourself ahead of time and let the Werserians get away while the wardens are busy guarding the rogue traitor. Curious and concerning.
Keep your wits
Right
about
into the
you.
palace. Alright, this is definitely Abelard related. And there's more going on here. I have a feeling this is going to be a bit of a complex situation. We might not be able to just instantly put a bullet in Urban Drivestem, sadly. Might have to wait a little bit. Just hold your horses, guys. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Okay. Some gap racks down there.
I can't work out if you respect me for my abilities or despise me, big man. You're glaring at me now like you've just downed some sour amasec. Don't you like me?
I am no fool. I will not insult a witch who knows the spirits, but I am not careless enough to forego a protective amulet in your presence. You are not to be trusted.
That was entertaining. It's funny how the Space Wolves are superstitious
Is
about
there
that
money
sort
to
of
be
thing.
made?
I mean, they have right to be, but their assessment of the warp and how it works is a little skewed. And then Heritor, like, not taunting him or yeah, I guess she is taunting him. She's not antagonizing him though, just taunting him a little bit. Seems more playful, but like, yeah. Speaks to her character that she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna taunt an Astartes a little. Alright, what do we got going on here? Let me through! I have an appointment with Chancellor Clementia Werserian! My apologies, my lord, but you cannot go any further. Governor Drivestem's orders. This is ridiculous! I shall complain!
Bring me to your manager.
Move over. Let her ladyship the rogue trader through. I humbly beg your pardon, your ladyship. Your ladyship, please, this way. Alright, well, here we are in the throne room. We have Drivestem right there. Clementia... No, that's Clementia. That must be another Werserian. Is that the younger one? Gaprax, Sourbacks, or other way around? Can't remember. But they're all here. Who's this? I can't remember who that is. Your ladyship, 'tis an honor. Governor Urban Drivestem seems to materialize out of thin air, so suddenly does he emerge from the crowd. I regret that such unfortunate circumstances have occasioned the rogue trader's visit to the capital. Clementia tries to take a step towards you, but the warden nearby stops her. Her face is veiled with fear and wariness. Your ladyship, you are here. Please, you must hear us out. The rogue trader is undoubtedly here to listen to the testimony of each and every one of us, and to punish the traitors. The governor's words, directed at Clementia, are harsh. They are echoed by the scornful sneers and whispers of the assembled nobles. Yeah, I think the aristocracy has put together a scheme to try and implicate the Werserians and get them out, because they are upstarts. This is, if that's what's going on here, it's purging time. We have known each other for many decades now, and we have had our fair share of disagreements. But do you really think my flesh and blood will trample upon the very definition of honor and loyalty? Abelard's voice is quivering with rage. The governor sweeps his gaze over Abelard, then replies, a faint shadow of doubt in his voice. We have evidence implicating them, Abelard. I'm sure that her ladyship will arrive at a fair ruling. First off, what happened on Dargonus in my absence? When we caught wind of the rumors of your disappearance, we patiently awaited news of your return. But then Dargonus was struck by a series of terrible events. The first was the sabotage of logistics that hampered shipments. Then mass unrest spread across the entire planet, and the minor noble houses began squabbling amongst themselves, trying to pin the blame on their rivals. We took great pains to calm them down and managed to quash the revolt, though not without some outside help, unfortunately. These events have also been overshadowed by I am ashamed to even say it aloud in front of you, your ladyship, the rumors circulating among the higher houses. The governor stammers, then takes a deep breath. Some were calling for Theodora's true heir to be installed as head of your house, Conrad Voigtveer. Not all of your subjects have forgotten his past efforts for the benefit of the trade protectorate. Drivestem stops talking, watching you with a tense expression. When the investigation was launched, the evidence led us to the Werserians. Sounds like a setup. And this is a problem. Why are there dead bodies at the entrance to my palace? Your ladyship, I humbly beg your pardon. Drivestem bows once again, trying to placate you. You see, right before your arrival, the palace guard discovered a plot to assassinate you. Fortunately, the malefactors were disposed of before they could cause you any harm. So this letter was planted to make it look like they were attempting to free the Werserians, to try and implicate the Werserians. Like, come on. This is shoddy false flag stuff. Alright. What are the charges against House Werserian? Disruption of logistical lines, bribery of Adeptus Administratum officials, document forgery, and organization of heretical insurrections. On top of the evidently devastating economic impact this has had on your protectorate, these criminal acts have impeded the delivery of the imperial tithe, which in turn has drawn the administratum's attention. An esteemed member of the Adeptus Arbites is expected to arrive on Dargonus shortly, and before they do, we are obligated to identify and punish those responsible. Clementia, I wish to hear your account. Your ladyship, House Werserian denies all charges against it. Clementia glances at the governor with defiance. These last few months have indeed been trying for Dargonus, but we have done our best to remedy the situation. My family's every effort was focused on stabilizing the capital's logistics and economy,
So much so that we failed to notice the web of intrigue unfolding behind our backs. Sabotaging logistics, riots, conspiracy. The case appears to be flimsy. I wish to learn more before I make my final decision. As you wish, your ladyship. The governor inclines his head in a stiff bow. Speak to me when you are ready to announce your verdict. Thank you for your willingness to help, Lord Captain. I am certain that all the charges are false, and I would be grateful for your help in exposing them as such. I think you should speak to everyone present, the noble lords and ladies. Yeah, let's do so. Unfortunately, that ended. I really wish they would give, like, an indication for a dialogue option. And this applies to basically every single RPG in existence, that when you select this option, it's going to move to a next stage of the dialogue, and you don't have the option to ask further questions. Sometimes it's very obvious with just the way how it's written, and that's cool, but in many cases, it's not. So, I guess we're going to talk to... Can we just talk to anyone? Yeah, look at this. Sourbacks are, basically, they're out for, Werserian blood. Hrotka. No, Macarius. Why did... Hrotka? Where did I even get that from? It's something with a K at the end. We'll see what the name actually is. Before bowing, Sourback scrutinizes you with a bitter, judgmental look. Yeah, I want to get rid of this guy, too. I think the Gapraks might be, alright, but the Sourbacks and the drive stems, I'm not a big fan of. Before bowing, yeah, already read that. Your ladyship. Hetka, that's it. Hetka Sourback, looking like a younger copy of his father, stands at a slight distance close to his mother. An expensive, yet understated dress serves to highlight the dazzling beauty of Macarius' wife, Regina Sourback. Yeah, we've already heard about her. Okay, nothing to be said. Okay, the members of House Sourback, led by Macarius, all bear a striking resemblance to one another with their slender builds and stern looks. They bow to you almost in unison. Do you really believe the Werserians are guilty? Certainly, Sourback replies without question. Governor Drivestem possesses proof of their guilt, and they have no means by which to refute it. Even if I were to entertain the idea that the Werserians are being framed, how much longer would their house have lasted anyways, if it is so ill-prepared for treachery? He addresses Abelard with a slightly mocking tone. My advice to House Werserian would be not to appeal to the rogue trader for help, but instead to simply stop, accept their fate, and not make matters worse for themselves. Wow. I cannot remember Cyrene von Valancius seeking your advice on what House Werserian should do in this situation. Pay attention, Macarius. Focus on the rogue trader's questions. Can you slap him too while you're at it, Abelard? Whatever charges he lays against you, I will remove. Who apart from the Werserians could have had a motive to conspire against me? Well, House Drivestem, wishing to expand their clout. House Gaprak, who lost their influence after the Kiavagama incident. Sourback looks back at his family, then turns to you again. House Sourback, whose patriarch is too direct in his communication with the rogue trader. Anyone could have a reason to conspire against you, and, equally, they could have none. It is not a question of motive, but of loyalty. Each of your subjects has sworn an oath of loyalty to you, so whose sincerity do you doubt? Okay. At least he's honest about that. The assailants sent to the palace were rare, high-functioning servitors. Do you think the Gapraks could be behind the attack? Sourback looks away briefly, then replies to you with a curt laugh. I've always thought Toriana too weak to participate in such risky ventures, but it seems I was wrong about her. We'll see. Let me talk to Regina. Nope. She doesn't have anything further to say. Anybody else here?
Rise to the top,
Some wardens?
or get left
you guys
in
have
the
anything to say?
dust.
Glory to the great rogue trader. Alright, well, we have Torina Gaprak there, and then Vicente. The lords and ladies, sumptuously dressed in the colors of House Gaprak, are standing in a half-circle around Toriana and her son Vicente. The bodies and faces of almost every member of the dynasty are covered in large, ornate augmetics. Yeah.
Toriana Gaprak curtsies to you. Her mechanical voice sounds distant and indifferent.
Greetings, your ladyship. May the Omnissiah grant you understanding.
With a click, her visor oculars swivel to the seneschal.
Abelard, it must be difficult for you to be here under these circumstances, with your house standing accused of such a grave crime.
My family, Lady Toriana, is yet to be found guilty of anything. That verdict is for the rogue trader to reach. Do you think the accusations against the Werserian family are true?
I would not take such a responsibility upon myself and rule on their guilt, your ladyship. I do think Governor Drivestem's accusations are worthy of consideration, however.
In your opinion, which nobles might have a reason to be party to such a conspiracy? She thinks for several moments before replying.
Pardon my bluntness, your ladyship, but I will answer truthfully. It could be anyone. Greed, fear, and ideals can drive even the most loyal subjects to do the unthinkable.
Okay, both of them being relatively honest here. In that sense, anyways. I have examined the bodies of the assailants that were killed today. All of them were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus, isn't that so? It is impossible to read Toriana's emotions in her heavily augmented face, but her sudden turn towards her family betrays her confusion and surprise. Perplexed whispers bounce from one family member to another.
Impossible. We came here by ourselves without any servitors.
We know nothing about it. Okay. This seems too genuine to be staged. They might be part of the framing as well. Or part of the being framed.
Your ladyship, thank you for informing us of this. You are absolutely right. My house has indeed been endowed with high-functioning servitors, a blessing for those who revere the Omnissiah. But today, none of our house members were accompanied by them.
I found this note on the bodies of the attackers. What are your thoughts on it? Toriana's mechanical fingers grip the paper.
Officially, high-functioning servitors are employed by my house, and my house alone. If such units were to attack the rogue trader, suspicion would instantly fall upon the Gapraks. I assume this is what the Werserians intended to happen. But they did not expect that the servitor would have this letter on them.
Sounds a bit too clumsy. I don't know. Vicent, I wish to speak to you. Ooh, we can take him aside. Interesting. I can't remember. We've talked to him before, and I think he was supportive of us.
Ready to serve your ladyship. How may I help you?
What do you make of the charges against the Werserian family? Could they truly be guilty?
I do not think I can doubt the validity of the accusations, but...
Vicent's voice trails off, and he seems to retreat into himself for a moment. Before continuing, he takes a deep breath.
I am also not sure that House Werserian had a reason to betray you, your ladyship. I do not know of any instance where their loyalty to you and the Emperor was anything less than unwavering.
I know you care for Astartia, Werserian. Are you prepared to watch her die? Oh, no, we're not going to say that. That will do. So he thinks they're innocent. I'll take my leave. The drive stems. We have Urbend and Cornelius drive stem. Governor Drivestem is surrounded by his retinue, who are all dressed in expensive gowns and finery. The matching color scheme of their outfits and the striking physical resemblance among them suggest that they all come from one family. I'm suspecting it's the Drivestems that are behind this, as I mentioned before, but we'll see.
Your ladyship, thank you for giving this case your undivided attention.
The governor bows, and the rest hasten to follow suit. I wish to hear your reasoning again. What makes you think the Werserians are behind the plot against me?
As soon as the logistical and economic problems gave rise to the initial rumors, we tried to find the person responsible for spreading the calls for Voigtvir's return. The investigation showed that some of the documents inside of the Adeptus Administratum were forgeries. We can thank my son Cornelius for such astute observations. Your ladyship,
a slender man bows to you awkwardly and nervously licks his dry lips.
I assume that my humble person is undeserving of your attention. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum Palace, and it is he who discovered the errors leading to the disrupted logistics. It is also thanks to him that we found the perpetrators of the forgeries, who admitted to acting on the orders of the House Werserian.
Could be plants.
What do you make of this letter? I found it on one of the assailants.
Governor Drivestem peers closely at the bloodstained paper.
It looks like another piece of evidence incriminating House Werserian. Perhaps they truly did intend to kill you, or at least cause a stir to help them escape custody during the confusion that followed.
Very convenient. All of the assailants were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
High-functioning servitors? Drivestem ponders this, rubbing his chin with his thumb. Such servitors are indeed rare, and the Gapraks do have them in their service. But this could have been done intentionally with an eye to confusing you. Anyone with the desire and sufficient funds can hire them. This is true.
I shall return to you later.
Where are the Werserians? These are some random servants. Can we talk to them? No, they're just finding out some random threats. We have Werserians up here. Startia and Clementia. Yeah, that was the other one. As you draw closer, the wardens step aside, bowing respectfully, allowing you to approach the Werserian family. Clementia, tired and slightly disheveled, is the first to bow her head to you in deference. Several men and women behind her follow suit.
Your ladyship, the woman stammers, as if lost for words. Accept my most humble apologies for failing to greet you properly, and my thanks for agreeing to speak to me before making your final decision. The charges brought by the governor are severe, but I can only assure you of this and swear on my own honor we are not guilty of the crimes that House Werserian is being accused of.
Clementia. A hint of sorrow creeps into Abelard's voice, belying his stern facade. You were acting head of this family. You were supposed to take care of each and every family member. And now you are being accused of treason and collusion against the rogue traitor, and the entire family is facing death. How could you let this happen? The governor claims you forged documents in the administratum.
The fleet is the primary remit of House Werserian. It is our responsibility. Logistics and supply routes are another area of our responsibility. We have no direct influence on the inner workings of the Adeptus Administratum. The first large-scale deliveries were cancelled after quantities of food were miscalculated by clerks in the Administratum. Then we were faced with incorrect weather data and a meager fuel budget. It was clear that the cause of all these problems was the calculations performed in the Administratum in one way or another, but no matter how many times we asked, we could not ever obtain any clarification on the matter. Maybe we just burn the Administratum. That'd be great. I hate those guys. I have personal beef against them.
I found this letter on one of the bodies of the heretics who planned the attack. What can you tell me about it?
While Clementia reads the letter, the Werserians behind her read it over her shoulder.
Your ladyship, let us be frank. It would be foolish of me to try and orchestrate something like this, knowing how many wardens are patrolling your palace. I would not have let myself or anyone in my family get involved in such a scheme.
Yeah, there's a point there. Like, this was meant to fail. It was purely a pin evidence on the Werserians and maybe also potentially implicate the Gapraks just to make a second scapegoat in case we dig a little bit. But we're going to dig a bit. Not a little bit. That's how you say that. A lot of bit, for sure.
The attackers were high-functioning servitors, one that looked closer to ordinary humans. Do you know anything about them?
Servitors? Is that so? Clementia crosses her arms and furrows her brow, deep in thought. I have encountered servitors that were indistinguishable from normal augmented humans, but only once. They were accompanying several members of House Gaprak.
If you are not guilty, who is? Who stands to gain from braving you?
Anyone, really, Clementia replies with a bitter laugh. The other houses consider us unworthy of our position, and many would jump at the chance to get rid of us and gain control over what was once our domain, the planet's fleet and logistics at the very least.
Lady Theodora chose to grant noble status to House Werserian, but the other houses, which have served in the Expanse for millennia, did not welcome the decision. It has led to some difficulties.
Are you truly guilty? Be honest. I will not tolerate lies.
Clementia, if you know that a member of your family is guilty of the crimes you are being accused of.
Abelard, this is your family too, you know. The woman's words burn with defiance. My apologies. I should not lose my composure. No member of House Werserian is involved in a conspiracy against her ladyship. Honor and loyalty are not something we take lightly, and we know whom we serve.
I want to find out what is going on here and who the real mastermind behind all this is. Where should I start?
I'm afraid I cannot be of much help. Talk to the representatives of the other houses. Eavesdrop on their retinues. And perhaps you will hear something unusual.
Eavesdrop, you say? Okay. Alright.
I always keep my options open.
Is there a way to do that? What about you guys over here? They're talking to a warden. There's no actual dialogue to be had here. What about among the Sourbacks? Long live the rogue trader. Oop, oop, oop. What did you guys say? No, they're just complaining about the gunfire there. Operator, Tech Priest, can we talk to them? No. Still can't talk to any of these guys anymore. Petka? Also not. Yeah, I mean, this is... That's all a bit suspicious. I don't think the Gapraks are involved. Them being framed as, Yeah, look at these ones. These Gapraks are like, you know, if there's any among us that are responsible, they should be executed. Anything more to say with Torina? Oh, whoa, 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 hold on. No, we already saw this. This is nothing new. And Vicent. Nothing new. Okay. I just want to make sure we actually talk to everyone involved. Halen. Halen. Huh. Not sure who that is. And then there's Cornelius Drivestem. We did not talk to him. Oh, Pascal is... Oh, that... No, he's part of the party. That's why he's standing there. I can only say this. Why can I only say that?
Keep your wits about you.
How does one, like, eavesdrop? There's no stealth mechanic or anything, and I can't seem to exit this room at the moment. All the doors are closed, so I can't go anywhere else. And it's not giving me any options to say, no, they're innocent at the moment, which is a little weird.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Let's go out here. Maybe there's more to learn. Halen Gaprak. Okay, that's another one. Interesting. So we were just directed towards him. We'll check him out in just a moment. I'm gonna look into my own quarters here. So it seems like we can leave. Maybe there's some sort of clue lying around. Something. An assassination attempt that would clear things up nicely. Somebody tries to assassinate us. Get some information out of them.
Is there money to be made?
Heinrichs can apply his trade. Well, where's he at? He's down here. So he's there's also these nobles here. We'll see what they're talking about. Yeah, they're just vultures. Alright, what do you have to say? A finely dressed man of middle years is kneeling in front of the altar, his palms folded in prayer close to his face. The implant-free parts of his skin are a sickly blue color. The nobleman does not react to your presence. He does not lift his head. He does not blink. He does not even breathe. Only when you draw closer do you realize he is dead. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Abelard looks at the man.
The colors of House Gaprak. I do not believe he decided to take his own life in such an extravagant way. As far as I know, there was a warden post here, but I do not see any wardens.
The seneschal looks around. There is no one to ask about what happened here, or with whom this man spoke before he died. I would like to ask Urbend where the palace guard suddenly disappeared to. Heinrich leans towards the dead man. A familiar sight. There are poisons that rapidly damage the nervous system, causing paralytic spasms through the body once injected. The victims usually suffocate slowly and painfully, unable to call for help.
What a surprise you are versed in the art of underhanded murder. Have you often resorted to the coward's weapon in your life rather than fighting fair?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You have problem with the Inquisition, do you, Ulfar?
I have. All of my victims were enemies of the Imperium who could not have been reached by any other means. Would you prefer they still be alive, my lord Ulfar?
Heinrich meets the wolf's menacing gaze with dignity, ignoring the almost palpable wave of threat emanating from the angel of the Emperor. Oh, man. Ah, Heinrich. Examine the body. 57% only. We better not fuck this up. Okay. There are no visible wounds on the body, but near the edge of the gold-trimmed collar you notice a tiny puncture in his blue skin, likely caused by a thin needle. Search the pockets. HG, yeah, that gap rack. You discover a secret pocket in the lining of the dead man's luxurious jacket. You will find a folded piece of paper inside, hiding behind a handkerchief embroidered with the initials HG. Short note. Make sure that the rogue trader is attacked by someone loyal. It should appear as if it was all staged to let the Werserian family escape. This is the last assignment. Soon your debt will be paid off in full. Okay. I think I was spot on. Let's look around. You are almost certain that wardens are usually stationed nearby, but their post is empty. Where have they gone? This would be an excellent question for Urban Drivestem. Can we loot him? You have any?
Rise to the top,
No.
or get left
Damn
in
it.
the dust.
We don't even get any loot out of this. It's not even one of the noble families whose the losses of their members which would be beneficial to me. The Gap Rack. They're not so bad. I would like to actually talk to the Gap Racks first. I discovered a dead body. A member of your house, right here in the palace. He died kneeling in prayer. Toriana covers her open mouth with her hands in surprise, and, turning to her family, looks for someone among them. Halen, it can't be. Halen, was it? Tell me about him, Toriana.
Halen is one of the low-ranking members of House Gaprak. Despite his advanced age, he never held high office, but he was forever striving to better his position, even beyond his abilities. Many members of my house struggled to cope with the misfortune that fell Kiavagama and our family. Some members could not reconcile themselves to our new position. Halen was one of them.
The dead man had a note on him. It mentioned some sort of debt.
Let me have a look. Oh, Halen, you fool. Forgive me, your ladyship, but I have nothing to say. This is the first I have ever seen of this letter, and I have no idea what kind of debt it might refer to.
What could have happened to him? Toriana's visor, oculars, are fixed on the floor, her fingers restlessly clenching in the fabric of her dress. Toriana, the time to keep silent is long gone. The future of the von Valancius trade dynasty and your house are both at stake now.
We lost Kiavagama, a truly devastating blow to every member of House Gaprak. I lost all hope for the future, and my kin lost their sense of purpose. We needed time to recover and chart a new course for ourselves. We were, and still are, more than capable of doing that, but I will not deny it. The other houses have offered us their assistance for their own self-serving ends. Perhaps Halen decided to take up on one of their offers behind my back.
Seneschal bows ever so slightly and speaks quietly so that only you can hear him. Lord Captain, the Gapraks, all, or perhaps only some of them, are definitely involved, but I suspect that they were not behind the plot against you. Halen Gaprak could be nothing more than a puppet in the hands of a deft puppet master. We must expose whoever that is, if we are to prevent the pestilence of heresy from spreading any further. What do you suggest we do? Interrogate the heads of the Drivestem and Sourback houses. One of them has been pulling the strings here. Once we uncover new evidence, announce the guilty party will be publicly executed. Before you pronounce the verdict, I suggest focusing on each house in your indictment speech, and I shall observe them.
I have known these people far longer than you have. I know all their gestures, habits, and behavioral quirks. I am sure that I will be able to determine which of them was responsible for the riots based on their behavior. Righto.
I always keep my options open.
Let's quickly talk to the Sourbacks here. What do you have to say about this? I discovered a dead body in my palace. A man of House Gaprak was killed while praying to the Emperor. He had this note on him. Do you know anything about it?
Macarius looks at the note without taking it without taking it from your hands, and replies without hesitation,
No, I know nothing about this note.
Suspicious. Didn't even look at it.
I always have a backup plan.
Quickly talk to the Werserians about this before we go to the drive stems. We'll save the best for last.
I've discovered the body of Halen Gaprak here, in this palace. He had this note on him. Do you know anything about it?
The younger members of the Werserian family crowd around to examine the note in Clementia's hands. All present are beset with worry and bewilderment. I'm not sure if it is relevant, but perhaps you should know. Since the fall of Kiavagama, House Gaprak has been faring poorly, to say the least. They have been looking for ways to enhance their influence and to improve their lot, including asking for help from the other noble houses. They have not approached us, of course. It is shameful to seek help from those you consider your inferiors. You understand, but perhaps the drive stems or the Sourbacks can tell you more about this matter.
Let's actually talk to the other Sourbacks, if we can. Maybe
Let
that
us not
dialogue is now
dawdle.
open. Hetka or Regina? Nope. And... nope. Okay. So, he was immediately dismissive, Macarius. Could mean that he knows exactly what it is and was prepared for this. Possible. Could mean something else. Let's talk to the fucking drive stems. When you approach them, the conversation dies down. The governor bows his head in deference. How may I serve you, your ladyship? Are you ready to pronounce your verdict yet?
Did you see Macarius Sourback today before I arrived?
Macarius? I did not see him myself, but perhaps. The governor turns around and asks his family, have any of you seen him today? The nobles talk quietly among themselves, and then a middle-aged woman with a tall, extravagant hairstyle replies to you.
I think my sister and I saw him sitting on the bench some distance away from the palace's entrance. We think he was accompanied by a gentleman, but forgive us, your ladyship, we could not make out his face. Lead me to that place.
Okay, interesting.
Of course, consider it done.
Keep your wits about you.
An actual follow quest. And much like actual follow quests, the NPCs move egregiously slowly. Come on, run! I know you're a fucking aristocrat.
This could be an opportunity.
Okay. Awareness, 100. Okay, there's a bottle there. Alright, well, thank you.
That wasn't so difficult.
Okay, I recognize this bouquet. House Sourback usually serves this wine.
Bouquet. Okay. Apparently that's
Always
worth the
keep your
wine.
eye on the
Okay, so we
prize.
got a wine. Let's check here. Who's told us? We did not actually get the wine. So he was sitting here. That doesn't tell me anything. Nor can we address it. Once again, I'm going to try and speak to all of his family members. I want to make sure we really get to the bottom of this. We can have a beyond any shadow of doubt. Nothing new here. Okay, back to the drive stems then?
I always keep
Or maybe
my
back to the
options open.
Werserians? I don't know. Maybe they have something to say? No. Wish I could go to the Administratum office and actually talk to them. What about Cornelius? Do you have anything to say? No.
Okay. I found a dead body in my palace. A member of House Gaprak was slain in front of an altar. Do you know anything about it? A member of House Gaprak killed in the palace?
The governor's eyes bulge in surprise.
And no one noticed? But how? There are wardens posted at every altar.
There was no one near the deceased. The wardens had left their post. Did you order them to do so?
Emperor forbid, your ladyship.
The governor helplessly throws up his hands in the air as if to signify his powerlessness.
Your negligence is stunning, Urbend. An assassination attempt followed by a mysterious death. And yet here you are, oblivious to everything. The rogue trader can justly accuse you of allowing a noble to be killed in the palace, and of failing to even notice it.
It may be so, but it is for the rogue trader to accuse me of negligence, not you. The governor addresses you once more. Your ladyship, accept my deepest apologies for my imprudence. Nothing matters more to me than my honor. I shall send the servants to deal with this immediately.
Summon everyone. I'm ready to pronounce my verdict.
Understood, your ladyship. Allow me to prepare everything. Okay. Drivestem tensely bows and replies without hesitation. Okay. Abelard, do you have any ideas as of yet? Many faces are watching you, each and every one awaiting the rogue trader's verdict with bated breath.
The charges brought by Governor Drivestem were fabricated. House Werserian had nothing to do with the orchestration of the riots or the plot targeting the rogue trader. However, the real perpetrators are here in this very room.
The seneschal nods to you as if urging you to continue, then shifts his piercing gaze to the crowd before you. Is this already... grave error committed by their son? This is gonna accomplish nothing. Yeah, actually, indeed, Drivestem's son is a high-ranking member of the Administratum. This could be a cover-up of his own fuck-ups. And a 1-2 of also getting rid of the Werserians. And maybe putting some of the blame on the Gapraks to weaken them further. Or to put them in a even more vulnerable state so that he could take more out of them. I suspect he has, like, the whole lead with Macarius, Sourback, and the, like, where the hell was he? That didn't seem to mean anything. We're not going to accuse the Gapraks. Damn it, I wish I could look at my log right now. There may have been a clue on the note that we got. I don't think so. I think the Drivestems are the most likely to be blamed here.
Urban Drivestem, you have accused House Werserian of violations that were in truth the result of a grave error committed by your son.
The governor closes his eyes, fear and shame getting the better of him. Some faces in the crowd look confused and surprised, but you see more wearing expressions of self-satisfied contempt. Okay. Abelard looks... Okay, interesting. Abelard looks from the governor to you and suddenly shakes his head, as if to say, no, it is not the Drivestems pulling, or it is not Drivestem pulling the strings here.
And I know that House Sourback offered their help to the Gapraks, and the late Halen Gapraks seem to have accepted the offer. I suspect that you are responsible for his death as well.
Sourback furrows his brow and slightly cocks his head. He averts his gaze for the first time as if trying to remember or make sense of something. You notice some restless movements behind him. Abelard narrows his eyes and scrutinizes Macarius Sourback and his retinue, standing behind him. His sharp eyes light up when he catches sight of something important. The seneschal looks at you and nods as if to say, the puppeteer has given themselves away. Pronounce the verdict.
In the conspiracy against the rogue trader, I find
the air is frozen, or the air in the room is frozen with a tense, almost electrified silence. All the nobles, some with fear and others with reverent anticipation, await your verdict.
I find House Sourback guilty, Seneschal. You may take it from here.
Abelard steps forward and stares intently at House Sourback's patriarch. Macarius, I must admit I have always admired your bluntness. But just as I once had to say goodbye to a promotion because of my dislike for intrigue, you and your family might soon say goodbye to your heads. Tell me now, in your blunt fashion, are you loyal to House von Valancius? Sourback narrows his eyes, grimacing. I am loyal, Werserian. Abelard studies Sourback, then suddenly nods. You are not lying. But someone else is. Someone who is poised to destroy both you and your family for her own gain. Ooh, Regina. Macarius does not have time to respond. Regina, who is standing beside him, raises her arm as if to slap the elderly seneschal. Abelard deftly catches her wrist, stopping her hand right in front of his face. Her dainty hand is adorned with a massive augmetic ring, topped with a thin spike dripping with venom. Oh shit. Ow! The fucking pole is in the way! Sourback shifts his confused gaze from his wife to Abelard, then back again. The stiff arrogance has vanished from his posture. Regina, you? Mother, Hetka says. Upon realizing what has happened, Hetka recoils from his mother. Macarius, your bluntness makes you an open book. When I talked about helping the Gapraks, you had no idea what I was referring to. Your wife, on the other hand, her eyes started shifting to you. Or shifting like you would not believe. Regina Sourback, you alone betrayed the rogue trader, jeopardizing the prosperity of the von Valancius trade dynasty, and you alone are responsible for your unmasking. Regina, why would you do this? Like the spike on her ring, Regina's words are dripping with poison and rage. Because Dargonus is serving an impostor. The true heir of the Protectorate bears a different name. When Conrad appeared on Dargonus, he paid me a visit and opened my eyes to the truth of the situation. Theodora was killed by the one whom she had so unwarily taken under her wing. Macarius is too narrow-minded to even consider opposing the rogue trader, even an illegitimate one, so I had to wait for the right moment, and the disappearance of the Lord Captain could not have come at a better time. It was quite simple to trigger a chain of events on Dargonus, so that the people remembered Master Voigtfir's past service. It seemed that many of your subjects do not actually consider you a worthy successor. Why the Werserians? Because when stripped of the Seneschal's protection, this house is the weakest one on all Dargonus, and they are also particularly disliked by the governor's family. It would have been easy to bury the Werserians under accusations of heresy. Why did you kill Halen Gaprak? Halen was a good agent, but he was also a coward. He came to me just before our formidable rogue trader arrived. He was ready to confess everything. I suggested that he plead for the Emperor's forgiveness first, and he did grant him mercy, did he not? Who aided you? There was no way you managed all this on your own. Of course I didn't. I have too many helpers to list them all here, but rest assured there are plenty of them. Just as there are plenty of people who follow Master Voigtfir. My death will not change anything. The true rogue trader will come and take his rightful place when the time is right. Abelard, the sentence is yet to be carried out. Finish this. Abelard turns his gaze to you. Does the rogue trader condemn only the rotten apple, or the entire barrel? I will not exterminate an entire noble line that is loyal to me just because of one traitor. Reasoning for, if there is treason within other noble lines, they will feel much, or other members of the family will be much more inclined to step up and be like, hey, I think my brother over there is plotting against you, when they know that they won't be blamed for it. Blame everyone, and all of a sudden, if there's one traitor in their midst, you kind of force all of the other ones to probably stand with the traitor. In that case, Regina Sourback shall be subjected to intense interrogation, followed by execution. So, we have received the Traitor's Ring, a ring weapon that fires a single liquefier shot, can be used once per combat, contaminates a 3-cell area, which inflicts 10 toxin damage and applies melting every turn. Sounds fun. So can we interrogate her? I wouldn't mind getting some further details, like who else might be involved. And I suspect the errors in the Administratum were actually done at least under, what's his name, Cornelius's nose. Maybe he didn't do them, and it was Regina actually, she was able to get somebody inside to manipulate the documents. But the way how he seemed resigned... By order of the Road Trader, Regina Sauerbach is sentenced to death for heresy and crimes against the von Valancius trade dynasty. How's she looking? Not particularly good. Oh, God. Public execution. In the medieval gruesome fashion. So, I guess that's going to solve it for now, but this isn't over. Voigtvir's agents are in the capital, as we could have guessed. When the nobles disperse, sated by the bloody performance, Abelard approaches you, his steps firm. Lord Captain. You have my thanks. A rogue trader should not waste time on the matters that our servants and trustees can resolve, but in this case your intervention was necessary. Not just for the sake of my family, but for your trade dynasty as well. Regina Sauerbach, evidently Conrad's accomplices, continue to plot against your protectorate. I feel we have not heard the last of such scoundrels. Yep. Thanks to you, Lord Captain, House Werserian is saved. Although it came close to being wiped out as a result of scheming without an imprudence from within. Abelard pauses for a moment, staring off into the distance. Sometimes I think about how much I could teach them. I could ensure that they survive in the future without me. You and your family must be prepared for the next time something like this happens. That is true. They need to be prepared for it, and I want to believe they will be able to take care of themselves. I need time to reflect on what happened and the role I played in it. I think I will be ready to resume this conversation later, when we are back aboard the ship. Abelard bows his head to you deferentially and turns away, lost in thought. Okay. Do we owe Drivestem an apology? No. I don't think so. He was ready to jump at the Werserians as well. Did some pretty unforgivable lapses in, the house security and all that. We're absolutely not apologizing to Drivestem. In fact, I should execute him too. I still want to do it. I reckon we'll get our chance at some point. Your ladyship. Clementia looks away from her data slate. I hope your stay on Dargonus will be beneficial to your physical and mental state. I understand that the heir to a protectorate must have her hands full. But one shouldn't forget about rest. Okay. Nothing to say, huh? Drivestem? You anywhere around? Cassia here. Hello, Cassia. How you doing? Ah, she likes our art. I like our art, too. Okay, it seems like business is back as normal. I am going to... We could leave, actually. Might just do that. Yeah, let's just leave. I don't think there's anything else here for us, so... I, exit? No, the doors were closed. To the Void Ship Bridge. Return to the ship. This is to the Void Ship Bridge. What's the difference? What does return to the ship do? Can you, pick a location on the ship? Or we just do that. Okay. Von Valancius throne room and the palace here. Okay. Well, it seems like that's been sorted, so let's quickly talk to Abelard, so he should have just gone to the bridge after all. I just wanted to see what that did. I hope he doesn't, decide to step down and leave. To protect his family. I would understand, but that would suck. No, I don't think he would do that. If you were to, say, consider taking Astartia on the ship, for example, and maybe tutoring her, so that she can then pass on the knowledge to the rest of the Werserians, that could be something. Abelard.
Lord Captain, allow me to express my gratitude once again for your assistance. If it weren't for your intervention, my entire family could have been executed on false charges. I could have lost them all. I never imagined the Werserians would be so vulnerable, while I serve as seneschal to the Lord Captain herself, far from home.
Yep.
To tell you the truth, Lord Captain, this whole situation has got me thinking. As patriarch of the Werserian family, I have a responsibility to my bloodline. Yes, it is my duty to serve as seneschal to the rogue trader.
Okay,
and
good.
I have no intention of relinquishing that role if you find my service as satisfactory as did Lady Theodora. However, if I could be more involved in my family's affairs and still serve the von Valancius dynasty.
You told Abelard that with your coming to power, the established procedures within the dynasty would change. I love this. This is like a change or a decision we made in very early on in the game. And it's come back, I think, twice now. It's pretty good. What do you want? Tell me plainly.
Under Lady Theodora, I served as steward of the Trade Protectorate on more than one occasion. In that capacity, I was based on Dargonus, rather than traveling with the rogue trader on the flagship. If it would be possible, after the immediate need for my presence is over, I would like to return to that position. To oversee the Trade Protectorate on the capital world, while at the same time presiding over the Werserian family, and using my authority to help elevate it.
Does that mean... I mean, how long is the threat to the Expanse gonna... This might be like something that just involves the epilogue. Because I reckon the threat to the Expanse is going to be throughout the rest of the game and not just this act. So, yeah. It's interesting. We can already sort of help decide his epilogue right now. If that is indeed what's happening, that's kind of cool. I understand your desire. Traditions and old ways must change. I will allow you to return to Dargonus after the immediate crisis in the Expanse is past.
Thank you, Lord Captain. Under my watch, the Trade Protectorate will remain safe and prosper, in service to you.
Yeah, and somebody's got to keep Drivestem in line. Remember to put a bullet in him at the first sign of treason.
Well then, Lord Captain. It is time I return to my duties. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Yeah,
Lord
that could be
Captain.
all. Alright. Well, we have, saved the Werserians. And found the culprit. It's not quite what I expected, so that's good. I'm glad it wasn't, you know, super obvious. It's good to be wrong. Or at least, be a little bit off in these instances. I do wish they gave a little bit of hint, because we were very much relying on Werserian at the end. It was basically the, you know, the hints that we got pointed us in a certain direction, and then because Werserian was like, no, it's this, that, we proved to be wrong, so I don't know if you could have guessed that. However, they did build Regina up a few times. They drew attention to her character twice already, both recently in this little story arc and in the Magna Accessio, I believe was the name of it. So they drew attention to her, kind of implying that, yeah, she's going to actually be important to something. So, in that sense, that was a little bit of foreshadowing. I feel like they could have foreshadowed it a little bit better. But, all in all, this was cool. So, that's been settled, which is great. Have some well-deserved rest. So, I think that's going to be where I end today's episode. This was entirely focused on the Werserians, and in the next episode, we're going to head to the Astropathic Chapel and take a look at what's going on there. It seems like, with all this stuff yeah, it's been a lot of episodes without any combat. So if you guys are here for the action, I do apologize. But, you know, the game's going to do what it does. And I'm just going to proceed onwards with the pacing that the game gives. And I honestly don't mind. Like, I love the combat in this game, don't get me wrong. I think it's one of the strong suits of the game, is the character building and the combat. But all of this scheming and the investigation that we had in the last episode, like, that was all fun. So, I'm liking how it does this. Very, very well made RPG, honestly. It's, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is, I think, my favorite CRPG. Alright guys, drop this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Heritor out, and the Emperor protects.